Hello, and welcome back to Old School Programming. Today, we're going to continue with the personal finance Excel stuff. We work on a program on a little spreadsheet on how to calculate, payments and based on interest and all that in my last video. Today, we're going to go more on a personal level, more on a how do I keep track of my expenses and all that at home? What if I wanted to keep track of that because I'm losing control? So I have in front of us here is Excel, and I have already done a few tabs. I did from 1 through 10, and I'm going to rename them. Now, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a ledger to control the expenses and incomes that we get in a home, and that's what we're going to do today. To rename these sheets, because we're going to rename them, you can double click them, type January, or I can do March. I'm going to start March first. Or I can always right mouse click and click rename. I'm going to do April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. And I'm going to go back to March. Now, this is what we're going to do because I want to do the same to all of the tabs here, all the single spreadsheets. I wanted to do the same format. I'm going to press the Shift key and select all of them. So I'm going to do what is called a group action, right? I'm going to group them all. So whatever I do to the first one, I'm going to be doing to all of the spreadsheets. So randomly, I'm just going to go to a place. I'm going to put in date. I'm going to put category. I'm going to put in a name. I'm going to put in notes or a memo. I can put memo, I guess. And I'm going to put in a deposit and expense. Now, these are my basic tabs, the date. And just so you understand what I'm doing, I can go ahead and I'm going to put a couple of entries. I'm only going to do an entry deposit and entry expense just for as an example, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to delete them, okay? So I'm going to say 3-1, and I'm going to do that for 3-1. You can see that it's at March 1. The category I'm going to do salary. Here I'm going to put in groceries. I'm going to put in, I don't know, let's say I work at Walmart. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to put the name. And the name is going to be payment salary for second week in February. I actually got paid in March. Now notice how this is a deposit. So let's say I earn $12.34 and 56 cents. Just see how I cut the text there. Now don't worry about it. That's okay. Now for groceries, I'm going to say that I went to Vons and I put in, I don't know, milk and bread. And I spent, I don't know, let's say 8 and 55 cents. So far, so good. Now you might be saying, well, this doesn't look like what I'm looking at. No, don't worry about it. We're going to fix it. First thing to do is we're going to highlight these headings and we're going to make them bold and center. That's the first thing I'm going to do. The date column, I'm going to highlight by clicking on the letter A. It highlights the whole column. Right mouse click and go to Format Cells. And I'm going to go to date. Actually, I'm going to do custom. And I'm going to do 3Ds and 1D. And what this does, it puts in the 3 letters of the day and the number. So Tuesday, number 1. I'm also going to center them. See, now it's centered. The category, I can make this category a little bit bigger. Now, this is what category is supposed to be. It could be groceries, utilities, rent. It could be whatever I want. The purpose of this is that someday I might want to know how much I pay spending in groceries, or maybe I want to know how much I pay in utilities and phone. So this is a quick and easy way to find that out. The name is who is doing this. I mean, it could be the name of the store I'm spending. It could be JCPenney, Bonds. It could be John Doe. I pay him $50, whatever. And it doesn't matter if it's a salary. I put in Walmart here because I work for Walmart. But it doesn't really matter, right? I mean, it could be anything. I can put the name of the bank if I wanted to. I can put in Bank of America. Doesn't really matter. Whatever you feel whatever you feel comfortable with. You don't need to make this column too big. Actually, I need to make it a little smaller. Now the memo may be a little bit bigger, and I'm gonna make it, I don't know, 165 pixels or more. This is only for where I put a description. It could be description, a memo, info, whatever you want to call it. And columns E and F, I'm gonna make them accounting. And basically, you know, I deposited this and I have this. Now, you normally have four, what you would call it. Well, let's start with this. There's four fields that you need to have. I'm gonna click Merchant Center and I'm gonna write, you know, I'm gonna do that. Write a line. Merchant Center, write a line. Merchant Center, write a line. Merchant Center, write a line. And you're gonna be asking why four? Well, every month starts with a beginning balance. So beginning balance. I have my expenses, and I'll put a color just to be consistent. I have my deposits, and then I have my actual balance. Balance. All right. These four here, I'm gonna do currency, and I can bold this one. And these two, I'm gonna bold them and I'm gonna make it like 18 points. So my beginning balance, let's say my beginning balance, I never know my beginning balance on the first sheet, but let's say I had 2,342 with 10 cents. That's my beginning balance. My expenses will be, and I'm gonna use the formula. And when you do $sign and a letter, let's say it's just an expense. So I'm gonna go F colon $sign F. Notice how it highlighted the whole column. So the idea here is that no matter what I put here, it's automatically going to go to my expenses. And I'm going to do something similar to this, but with the letter E. That's the whole column. And now this, my actual balance will be equal to this plus my deposits minus my expenses. And that is what I actually have. Now remember, anything I'm doing here, I'm doing to all of them. I only put these here so they, you know, to format it. I was using it as a reference, but I don't really need this information at all. So I'm gonna do that, and whatever my beginning balance will be my ending balance, because I haven't done any expenses. I'm only gonna do one more thing before I go check on the rest of the formulas. In this, I'm gonna go to view, and I'm gonna freeze panes. Okay. And the reason I'm going to do that is because when I start doing entries, I can have 50 entries in here. I always want to be able to watch my actual balance. So that's the reason I have that. Now that I've done, this is my basic sheet that I want. Now I can click on any of these. You can tell they all have the same, but I don't want them to all be the same because it's not going to be the same balance in each one of them. So on April, I'm going to click here. I'm going to do equal, and I'm going to click on March, ending balance, and hit enter. Now, whatever happens in March dictates my actual balance, and that goes straight to April. Now for May, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do equal, and I'm going to go to the actual balance of April. And I'm going to do the same for each one. Equal. And I'm going to go to July, equals. August. I'm doing this a long way, by the way. There is a shorter way, but I want you to see how I'm doing this. There's no other, there are better ways of doing this, but this is the easiest, and I don't want to confuse anyone. And I'll go to October, November, finally December. So now, let's say I go here and I type some information and I spend $4 and $23 and $12 and notice, and maybe I deposit $10 because see this is changing and it's automatically adjusting for the next month. So that is the idea. And that's it. That's how it works. I hope you have enjoyed this short video. I'm going to show you also how it looks on my phone because I'm going to save this on the OneDrive, and then you'll see how this works on the phone because it's basically the same spreadsheet. So here it goes. Okay, so this is the phone version of the same spreadsheet that I worked on. I had it on my computer, and as you remember, I had frozen the pane. So now look at this. When I move, as I scroll up and down, I can still see my balance. Now the balance does move if I do this. That's only because of the way I did the freeze panes. But doing this and adding more, I can add hundreds of expenses, and my actual balance is always going to show, which is kind of good. And I can always go to my other tabs. So that's how it looks on the phone. So yeah, works good. Okay, so here I am in my iPad version of the same spreadsheet because I have it saved on my OneDrive. I open up the file here, and I can type a number. Let's say it was 3-1, right? And the category will be, I don't know, it could be rent. It could be apartment. I don't know. We'll call it task, APTS, and rent. And the expense was, I don't know, let's say $899.99, right? I'm also going to say that on 3-1, I did some utility. It was, I don't know, Verizon, I guess, and cell phones or cell phone. And it said my expense was $49.99. And here we go. So it keeps updating the actual balance, and of course that carries over to the other month. So yeah, that's the iPad version of the same spreadsheet. So this bank ledger file can be used on iPads, iPhones. If you have an Android device, you can always do it there, as long as you have Microsoft Excel. And of course, like always, you can always use this file with the Google Sheets as well. Okay, so we're back to our desktop version of the spreadsheet. Remember on the last, when I had my iPad open, I went ahead and entered these values, and here they are. It works good. One final thing I want to do is to display the formulas. And here they are. And basically on C2, I'm going to add the column F. On C3, I'm going to add column E because that's where my expenses and my deposits are. I'm going to go ahead and delete this because it's just for example. I want the file to be good. And yeah, C1 plus C3 minus C2 is my actual balance. If I go to April, this is what the formula looks like. So there it is, right there. And the same will go for every spreadsheet there. The only one that doesn't have the value on C1 will be the first one because it's my initial balance. But for April, I would have that right there. I'm going to zoom so you can see the formulas. So that's the name of the sheet and the cell. That's the reference. The rest of the formulas look the same. I'm going to go ahead and zoom this one as well so you can see the formulas. Here it says 2342. If I want to see the actual value, see how it's formatted, 2342. All right. Well, I hope you like this a small Excel spreadsheet. If you do, like and subscribe. You know what to do. Thank you very much.